Hello and welcome to the 125th session of Talk to the Expert series. Hi, my name is Shivali and I shall be your host for the session. Making this session accessible for all, we have with us Sri Lakshmi from Association of Sign Language Interpreters of India. Hello and welcome, Sri Lakshmi. And for those who are following our page and this group, know that since February this year, every week we are bringing to you parents and caregivers, families of one of the 16 co-authors of the path-breaking book Talking Fingers Volume 2, a book that strongly emphasizes that non-speaking are not non-thinking, and that speech is only one of the many ways in which we communicate. As a matter of fact, only about 7% or less than 10% of our communication is verbal. There are various ways to communicate. Sign language is one such form, and the other very powerful way is through typing and writing. As we all know that the journey of typing starts with identification of alphabets, numbers, random prompting method, RPM, is one very powerful tool. And today we feel extremely fortunate to host this particular session. And this particular session is graced by the innovator of RPM, Ms. Soma Mukhopadhyay. She truly believes and strongly advocates that every person has the ability to understand if taught the right way. And on this note, I would request Soma ma'am to please join us on screen. Hello, ma'am. Please unmute yourself.
Hello. Hello. It is rapid prompting method. Yes. Namaste to everyone. Right. And it is rapid prompting method. And thank you for inviting me.
It's lovely to have you here. And Sri Lakshmi is here with us, and she would be doing the sign language assistant for us. And let me ask from the very beginning the question that I want to ask you. How did the journey of RPM started?
Oh, well, it was not one beginning date. So you can say that when my son was really young and all the other rest of the children in India, back in India, they were all playing and doing different things. And I would see that my son was doing something, but they are not exactly what the other children are doing. So now, of course, the doctors told us that it is autism, and there wasn't much literature around it. And so whatever the doctors told, we had to do it, keep him busy. We kept him busy. But busy doing what? So then what I realized that he had some selective interests. And when the selective interests were there around the calendar, around the shadows, around mirrors, I began to use those selected objects over here in order to educate him. So he would look at the calendar, I would say, look, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Let's touch number 1. This is the meaning of 1. When I clap my hands once, that is 1. When I clap my hands twice. So this is how it began. And then for a while, we lived in Mysore to avail the services from Dr. Pratibha Karanth in All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, and which was a big help. And then we went to Bangalore because she moved to Bangalore. Then we availed the help of Spastic Society of Karnataka. So we have a lot of people to thank towards, but parallelly, I did my own teaching. I read to him any random thing I read, and then I taught him how to spell, first on the letterboard, then how to handwrite. So he did not know how to imitate the handwriting moves because it's a kind of a different kind of a procedure. So he had to muscle memorize how to write the letters. And then we also got a lot of help from who was my mentor, Dr. Veronica Matthais from Bangalore. She ran this mothers support group. And through her, she introduced us to the BBC, National Autism Society, and then they created Tito Story. And when they created this Tito Story, it got the Emma's Award. And some of the neuroscientists in United States watched it, and they invited us through Cure Autism Now Foundation, which is now Autism Speaks, to stay over here for 4 months in the United States so that the neuroscientists could test Tito. Now, we were supposed to come back to India when September 11th happened, and our trip got postponed. And while we were waiting for our trip back to India, some of the parents over there asked us to work with their children. And I worked the way I worked with Tito, with a little editing here and there, because everyone did not have the same open learning channels as Tito had, like open learning channels, visual, auditory, tactile, kinesthetic. These are the open learning channels. And it worked, which got the attention of 60 Minutes, which is a big program. And now, while I was working with some of the children in Los Angeles, there was this Cure Autism Now assigned a photographer, Gino Campagna, to like document whatever I was doing because it was working. And so it was he who actually named that, Soma, you are doing something, you need to name it something. So I said, okay, what should I name? And he suggested, why don't you call it rapid prompting method? Because what I was doing is, if the student's STEM was at this pace, I was sort of interrupting that pace of that STEM and sort of replacing that STEM with something more meaningful. So it's not just, okay, you STEM, go ahead and STEM. I was sort of competing with the STEM. And so I said, yeah, that can be a good name. And so that's how the nomenclature aspect got stuck to this method. And now the 60 minutes happened and I got this plethora of job offers. And once I got these job offers, and then slowly I began to practice with other children and I got better. It's not that I did not make mistakes. I made mistakes, but then through those mistakes, I learned what not to do. And then I realized that, you don't have to work hard. Many times people say, I worked so hard. What's the point of working hard? You work right, then you don't have to work hard. And so that's how it grew and my skills grew. And I keep growing my skills. It's not that I know it all. So I work 11 sessions a day and I don't get tired because I'm not working hard. I'm just working right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
how it was.
That's very powerful. So this rapid prompting method, when do you think you would recommend to a parent or a child, to a therapist, that they can start it with their child or the young adult? At what age and stage?
The best part of learning anything is we can learn at any age. You can start when your child is 3 years old, because my son was 3 years old when I started. Like, see, this is your hand. Is this your hand or is it your knee? And that's how you start. And this is letter H. H makes that her sound. So you can start at that age, or you can start at an older age also, because I've started with people who are 60 years old and more, and it still worked because learning is lifelong. So it's not that there's one kind of you can say age ceiling or age trough for learning. Okay.
Yeah, right. So, you mentioned that you work every day with a lot of children and young adults. Would you like to share some of your experiences with us? And I'm sure a lot of parents who are watching, they would also be benefited by what you share with us.
Okay. First, when I'm working, the best way I've seen that when I tell myself, okay, if I were to be this child or this person, how would I like to learn? And then when you sort of displace yourself from that child's perspective, you do the right thing. So, so you see that a student may have global vision, the student may have selective vision where I have a visual target, or a kind of a generalized vision, the vision that anyone has, a typical person has. A student may have a selective auditory where I'm just going to select these aspects from the environment and react to that, or generalized auditory that I'm listening to everything, or global auditory where all the sounds become one quack, 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 quack sound. See, then you have the selective tactile where I can hold this or hold that, but I can't hold a pencil. I can sit in a car seat, but I can't sit at a chair and work. So, or I can have global tactile where it doesn't matter what I'm touching everything. Or I can have generalized tactile where I know what to touch, when to pick up the pencil, how to pick up the pencil, those. And then you have the selective kinesthetic. So I can do this activity over here, but I can't do the rest of the activities. Or I can have generalized kinesthetic. So this way, when you are looking at the student based on the open learning channels, you sort of forget the label of autism. And then you start working through those open learning channels and you start teaching. Because if you're not teaching academics, what happens is the mind is going to then recycle whatever the mind has learned. And then we don't want that recycling to go on and on and on for years. And so we have to put information over there. We have to put, because the rest of the world is sitting over there here and learning information. Even the news is information. Even what is happening at your neighborhood is information. We are surrounded by this ecosystem of information. And that's how the intervention starts happening, where the teacher states, and then based on where the student's motor skill is at or sensory distraction is at, the teacher starts offering choices for the student to attend to what the teacher is teaching and respond. Student response is very important in RPM. Some students are going to spell and respond on a letterboard. Some students are going to, who would have difficulty in the motor movements, would spell on these three separated letterboards. So if I say, I'm going to tell you a story, okay, let's find letter S. S makes that S sound. And so this is how we are, along with the information, we are also teaching the student the procedure of responding. And it's all intermingled when you are sort of executing an RPM session.
Yeah, yeah. So, when you mentioned about the letterboard, we had seen some of your videos on YouTube, and one of your students, Elizabeth Bonker's session, we could attend where her mother was there, and they were talking about how you helped her big time in her journey. So, if you could share some of those experiences with us in terms of how your method actually helped those children. Some of them have really reached at a university level and they're doing fairly well. So, this piece is very important for us where we want parents to not give up on the therapy sessions that the child is doing. The child is picking up information and will be able to process it in time. So, if you could throw some light there, that will be helpful.
Well, there are many children who go to the information. Some children sort of get noticed, and other children don't get noticed because there are private children, and then there are children who likes to pursue education in privacy, and some children sort of come to the limelight. But there are plenty of children, because here, once you, so I have this book like curriculum development. So based on like how to teach, when to teach what, and grow the stamina. So in order to in order to go to the university or sit at a classroom, these are the staminas that you need. You need the tactile stamina to be at a place. You need the auditory stamina to listen. You need the performance stamina to spell your answers. You need the visual stamina to, if you're taking maths. Maths is a very visual, like you can say, topic. You'll need the visual stamina to attend to the number board and attend to whatever the 10-storied mathematical problem has to let you. So you have to assemble all these staminas over there in order to pass the test or carry on your academic education. Because I have seen many smart children who sort of don't have the stamina. So along with this, along with education, you may have to grow the stamina to sit over there, answer a 50 a 50-page question paper or whatever your university or school is providing. Now, some schools make adaptations, and if they make adaptations, so adaptations means they can allow the parent to become the student's aide. And if the student has a good rapport with the parent, then the student sort of works through it. Now, some school districts don't allow, or colleges don't allow a parent to be there. Then that student may have the selective ability to spell with the parent present and not be able to spell when the parent is not present, because of everything is sort of compartmentalized. So the student has encoded the parent in a kind of a performance, as a kind of a performance partnership. So you see that the conditions when a student is going, and other kinds of like when the student is completing a college or something, the conditions have to be right for that student to successfully get the right kind of education.
Right. So I think that would help parents to really focus on what skill set, what sensory issues, and where to get started. So this gives us a platform to understand the child first better, and then maybe utilize those skills or those sensory needs, and then give the right kind of input for them, the educational or sensory diet which is needed. Yeah, I will quickly read out some of the comments. So I think a lot of people have joined in, and we have Rashmi Sood who says, "Welcome Somaji." Sushma Tripathi welcomes you. Ranjani Gangadharan says, "Namaste to you." Ritu Raka says, "Great to see you, ma'am." And then we have people commenting saying that very well said, right work, then hard work. And Sushma also says that it's a learning that is for all of us, work right, not work hard. Rashmi again says that yes, learning never stops, getting better never stops. We have Sunita Rai Shekhwar, and she says very well said, learning is for lifelong. And Harsha is asking if this recording is available. So yes, the recording would be there for all forever and always on Facebook. You can always watch this later. Then we have Irene. She says, how do you work on stamina to sit while on lesson? She's asking you a question on this.
It is a kind of it develops over time depending upon the discipline. So in the beginning, the stamina would be less, because that's a big tactile stamina. Now again, in my trainings and even in the connection courses, I discuss about who is going to sit. So if the student does not find the center of gravity of his body, which is again a kind of a physics thing, because we all have the center of gravity. So when I'm sitting like this, my center of gravity is different. When I'm leaning down and sitting, my center of gravity would be different. So if those things the student can't find, the student is going to wobble. And if the student starts wobbling, the student won't feel safe sitting at a chair and would immediately stand up and start walking away. Because you see, the need to move and other kinds of things are also like related to the how grounded we are knowing our body, which is a kind of a tactile struggle for many children.
Yeah. So I hope Erin gets her response. And if you have any further question, please feel free to write to us. Umayal says, great work, ma'am. Sunita Rai Shekhwar says, I learn new things every time from your lecture, ma'am. So you have a great fan following, I must say that. We have a lot of people watching you, and I'm sure they will be benefited great deal by the work that you've done. And you have written over 7 books, and all of them are classic books. So would you please tell us about your books?
You know, okay, let me show you. Okay, so this was my first book. Sort of boring because this was, I didn't have any, like, it has a lot of information, but most of the people said that this is boring. Okay, but it has a lot of information. Okay, now that is understanding autism through the rapid prompting method. Now, this curriculum guide, this is the hierarchy, how you are going to build up the information stamina and other things over here, because that is about information. Now, many people found this easier to read. So, developing communication. So, how to like develop the system of communication with the children. Okay, now after that, I had to write this book, Harnessing Stims and Behaviors, how to use RPM to sort of keep the behaviors under control. So through the informational kind of a interception and take that same behavior into a kind of a education, like, oh, okay, you are pinching is a kind of force you are going to use. So how to uh, create a kind of a lesson around that to dilute the behavior. So there are different strategies for behaviors, and many people like them. Okay, now this developing motor skills. So now here I have the information. Okay, now we have the 3-dimensional space and how to utilize the motor skills, like what to do with the writing. And there are some illustrations and some photographs, not illustrations, photographs over here. So those are the things. Okay, now, okay, this is developing this expressive language for verbal children, because all children won't be kind of non-speaking. Some children are going to speak. And what are the different categories of children who speak? Okay, now this mathematical concepts. So how to teach the mathematical concepts to a student who is not visual. So because mathematics is a visual ability. So I'm not talking about those magic math where you just magically get the answers, not that. So I'm talking about real math where you actually need to look. Then you have to refer to another formula where you have to join 2 or 3 formulas in order to like they put those results in another formula and then get the answers. So that kind of math. So here it is how to adapt mathematics and this growing sensory tolerance, because if our senses are all over the place, then in order to perform, we need to assemble them, and then the performance would happen. Otherwise, the kind of performance we want is not going to happen. You can do 100 hours of therapy, it's not going to happen.
That's very interesting. So you're saying rapid prompting method can be utilized A for language, for typing, for mathematics, for behavior corrections, and for sensory issues also.
Yeah, because see, I am doing this. So why? Now, as a parent, I won't be just satisfied with my students just saying, or my son just saying that this, okay, I can't do this because I want. Okay, now what am I going to do? Because I can't feel my body. Okay, I'm going to help you feel your body. Okay, so otherwise it would be just great things happening over here. What to do? My hand and my thoughts don't match. and then there's no solution. So tomorrow has to be the better day. The next day has to be better day. So I now, based on my own like survival needs as a parent, as a professional, and then understanding what the other parent needs, then you see that the letterboard, this procedure is not enough. You need to apply whatever you're telling all these beautiful things. So that's why I had to write the other books and create a pathway, because you can have a great result. Okay, he is going to do this, and if you don't have a pathway, for example, I can say reach for the stars. How will you reach for the stars? Sure, go and reach for the stars and show me. So without the pathway, just the goal is not enough. So we had to create a pathway, and those books are those pathways.
Beautiful. I think that makes so much sense. There are a couple of more questions. I will take this. So Irene says, thanks a lot, dear Soma. Yes, he has troubles with his staying quiet, his gravity, you're right. We will have to work more on that. And any tips that you have, you can write to her. If you want to answer this now, also you can do that.
I do this like with my connection course, because the connection course is now the student is spelling, now what? So in the connection course, we try to assemble everything that the student is spelling, all those beautiful things. But first you have to do your first you have to do the level 1 training, because you have to get the communication out, because this requires just one procedure. But then you have to live in a world, 3-dimensional world. So you can say, okay, he's getting a lot of exercise in the swimming pool. But we don't live in the swimming pool. That procedure is very different from the procedure of performing yourself on the terrestrial level.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. There is another one by Nancy says, how do we grow the sensory tolerance?
Okay, so in order to grow this tolerance, it goes through 3 phases. So first would be introduction, where the existing sensory resistance is going to show up. That's the hardest. After that, there would be the tolerance, and then after that, there would be the adaptation. So everyone has a different kind of a clock. There would be resistance clock, there would be a tolerance clock, there would be the adaptation clock. But consistency is the key. If you do it one day and then the next day you don't do it, there's no sensory practice. Because in RPM, it's not just academic learning we are doing. We also have to create a sensory curriculum, because if you don't create a sensory curriculum, see, many times people say, okay, we want integration. They are only talking about academic integration. Sensory integration, the name is there, but those sensory integration don't show the visual integration, the auditory integration. Those things, they are not doing it. They do tactile, rubbing, brushing, but then they are not teaching the center of gravity of the body. So there are homegrown methods, because I did it, that you can get better results.
Right. So Irene says, thank you. And Pragati Patil says, hello, ma'am. Happy to see you. I want to know about sensory issues and how to overcome. I think you just answered this partially while answering this question. And there is a workshop, a level 1 training that you're organizing. So would you please tell us about that? So the parents who are interested can enroll for it also.
Okay, so this would be, I think everyone enrolled, right? But so this would be a 4-day training, and these 4 days, what we cover is we cover the identifying the open learning channels. Then we cover the how to utilize the stems. We cover the different kind of activities that the student is doing and the intervention. And then we do the methodologies. Then we learn to write the lesson plans for different aspects over here. So like different topics. We how to do like administer tests. So it's a 4 day. We'll keep you busy. We'll keep you very busy.
Right. So we looked at the number of books which were there, and I think that each book was 300 pages or more. And so there is so much content which is written so mindfully, which has been put to use for several years now. Uh, I'd like to understand, yeah.
Yeah, like literature is there, but everyone these books, they become thick because there are some pictures also. Like, wait, a lot of pictures are also there, like how to grow the visual things and other things over here. So there are, so pictures take up a lot, some spaces also.
No, but there is so much content which is available for parents to explore and maybe customize based on the needs of the child.
Yeah, and then I try to cover those things, whatever those books are there in the, like, in those 4 days.
Mhm.
So yeah, we keep, I'll keep you busy.
Right. So we have almost come towards the end of this session, and I this is a usual question because it holds high value for us when we ask the guest to give any ending note or a message to the community, to therapists, and to parents. You are a parent coach, parent advocate yourself. You're somebody who's been working on in this field for last so many years. So, what would be your message?
Okay. Uh, well, as a parent coach, I usually don't give advices because I don't like taking advices anyway. So they say, do unto others as you would like others. But since you are asking me, let me think. Okay. When you are signing up for any kind of therapy or something, ask those people to show them their videos, because you want to know what you're signing up for. Just because it is there, just don't rush over there, because as parent, I know how desperate you would feel. I know how alone you would feel. You would be exhausted. Sometimes children are not going to sleep. You will have sleepless nights. But if anyone is promising you that we are going to do this, ask them the goals. What are your goals? Show me the pathways. Do you have some video examples? Nowadays, video examples, you don't have to buy an expensive video cameras, and everyone has smartphones and they can show you the video examples. If you are satisfied with any method, then sign up for that. Otherwise, you are just going to be uh, like taken advantage of. That's the thing. And follow your guts. And I know everyone is working hard, and don't have to work hard, just work right. And then you'd have that that little energy left.
Mhm. Okay, so because you've not mentioned about how for the self-care givers, self-care for caregivers, this is one piece we would like to know from you. How do you manage your own well-being? What do you do for your self-care?
Oh, I do a lot of things, because in my life is easier because I balanced sensory curriculum along with the academic curriculum. And so, sort of, I don't have to have a kind of a 24-hour management program at home. So I have lots of time to do my own reading and other kinds of things. So just because there's autism, you don't have to be a martyr over here. You don't even have to be a warrior, and don't stress out that we'll tell the whole world. The world is too big, and no one cares. There are plenty of other problems that the world is dealing with, and they haven't solved that problem. And then on top of that, you say, okay, I'm going to educate you on autism. Someone would say, why do I want to know about it? Like if someone says that, I'm going to educate you in economics, and I'll say, why do I want to know about it? So if at all you spend all your energy in educating this one, this one, this one, and all kinds of things, then you are going to get exhausted doing that, and you won't have any time for yourself.
Mm. Yeah. So parents too, any message for the parents now?
Oh, roll up your sleeves and start working. Work right. That's the thing.
Lovely. Lovely. Thank you so much for all your time, ma'am. It is very early morning hours for you, but thank you for creating this space for us. And a big thanks to Sri Lakshmi. You have been fabulous. Uh, how do you say? Thank you. Wonderful job by doing this for us. You made it possible for us to connect with several people.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So we are done?
Yes, thank you and have a pleasant day. For all the audience, I would request that please stay tuned. We are coming up with the 8th edition of Musical Extravaganza very, very soon. So look after yourself, stay good, and like Soma ma'am say, don't work hard, work smart, work right. So thank you so much once again, and good night, everyone.
Namaste, everyone. Thanks. Bye.